It's time for another edition of Fast Break Bets. 4 more NBA playoff games on Sunday to discuss. Erik, things have been a little crazy for you and I. You're coming off of NFL draft weekend. You were there live covering it. We're just 1 week out from the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby, so I'm doing a bunch of stuff for DRF, and I'm all over the place. But we're sitting down ready to rock and roll today. And while all that has been happening, unfortunately, things haven't been going very well for your and my teams that we root for. Not the greatest few days for our particular teams. My Lakers were able to stay alive last night, but we're going to talk about your Bucks in just a minute. Injuries, and we can see how quickly things flip. That's why, even as a fan of a team that's down 3-0, that's why you always have to play every game out hard, because you just never know what's going to happen the next game. I mean, you look at a team like Milwaukee, Giannis, you don't know back and forth when he's coming back. All of a sudden, Dame gets hurt. And now a team like Indiana, who, a couple weeks ago probably thought they were going to be in a really tough situation. Now they're like a 10-point favorite today against the Bucks to try to go up 3-1. That is why you never know what could happen. Lakers are down 3-1 right now. Tomorrow they could go up to Denver and Jokic could twist his ankle. And that could flip. You got to go out and play hard every game because you never know. And we're seeing how much these injuries can really impact games and series.
Yeah, windows close quick. Too bad for the Bucks. They got the Middleton game.
And this was like a year, right? The way things are set up.
Kind of
look around the East.
Things, and because the draft was just starting toward the end of it. But they kind of let it slip through their hands. They had plenty of chances, couldn't convert. Going to be interesting. Indiana, in my eyes, the thing that stood out for me is Indiana had a chance to step on the Bucks' throat, and they didn't do it. So that kind of lingers. A young team in a situation where everyone's kind of penciling them in now as a team that can make a run. How do they handle that? Defensively, they're such a liability. It's hard trusting them such a big number, but I have a stat that I'll show a little bit later that historically speaking, teams in these situations laying a big number like this tend to cover.
And then the crazy stat I saw last night when watching the Laker game, and it's something that I can feel watching every moment of, all these games when you're a fan. The Lakers have led in the series for 129 minutes. Denver has led for 41, and they've been tied for 14. All 4 games, the Lakers have been up at halftime. And when you see that, it's not just one thing I point to, Erik, but to me, fitness, sure, that's like a coaching thing. When your teams aren't that far off from each other to where one team every time can go out and throw the first punch, and then one team can make adjustments, and the Lakers can't do that. That's where in that series it's very apparent, because when you just throw the ball out there and let both groups of their best go at it, they're evenly matched. It's when they make an adjustment, when you have to go a little deeper. Hey, I'm going to put Aaron Gordon on AD. What are the Lakers going to do? Hey, we're going to make sure that Michael Porter Jr. is set up to shoot over a smaller guy. Can the Lakers do anything there? That's what's been frustrating as a fan, because you see a number like that where one team has been leading twice as much as the other team. You're scratching your head going, how are we down 3-0? That's a coaching thing too. And we saw it even in the one game with Boston and Miami. Like, there's no way Boston should have ever lost one game in this series to this depleted Miami team with no Butler and no Rozier. And that right there, it just shows you that is Spo.
Yeah. Like, on the Wednesday show, I gave out an interesting stat about Spoelstra off of a loss and as a dog. Personally, that game, I'm kicking myself for not playing the money line. My quick recap of the games I watched yesterday: Pelicans, Willie Green is done. Like, it makes zero sense to me. His answer is to always go small. We got to play Larry Nance and everything. But when you look at how JV has done historically against Chet Holmgren, you have to play JV there. And they're doing an awful job of hiding CJ on the offensive end.
Yep.
I love this Thunder team. I got them at 100-1. watching the series, they are better than I thought they were after going into the playoffs for a young team to performing at this, making the shots. I am a little worried about Josh Giddey, though, because I don't think he can play in later in the tournament because of his 3-point shooting. I know he went 3 for 5 yesterday, but I'm fine with him shooting threes. I will leave him open all day.
The team in watching just kind of overall, I keep feeling like the way, if you're in the West, the way you want to try to beat Denver was what was successful when the Lakers won the title a few years ago and beat Denver, when they had the multiple bigs to throw at Jokic. It's kind of funny because it's so counter to what we think about the modern NBA, when most guys and most teams go small. But to beat that guy, you can't do it, Erik, because you can't go small against a team that has Jokic, Gordon, and Porter, because they will just out-rebound you. That's my concern with OKC. The same sort of issues that the Lakers are having right now. Are you going to be able to size up with 6'10" Michael Porter Jr. as their third biggest, as with your third big? You know, that's kind of where my point.
That with Willie Green not playing JV, you got to
exactly
go big OKC.
Because Minnesota sort of feels like they've got the template, at least, you know, with like they have the roster where they can throw Gobert or Towns at Jokic. Then they have another big there. They have multiple guys out there to get some rebounds. Because when you watch them, that is the real key, I think, with this Denver team. They execute so well, you cannot give them extra chances. When you stop them, you have to get the rebound and you have to go. And that is what, unfortunately, the Lakers don't have the personnel for that right now. They just don't. Without Vanderbilt, without Christian Wood, they don't have the extra big bodies. And honestly, I think what helped them win Game 4 was even just throwing Jackson Hayes back out there for 5 more minutes. Getting a big body out there that can at least steal a few rebounds. Erik, I was so frustrated watching how many times you would see Michael Porter Jr. end up on Austin Reeves, Spencer Dinwiddie, Gabe Vincent, or D'Lo. Like, they just have no shot there. Like, there's just nothing. There's nothing you can do when your personnel matches up like that. So I've been super impressed with OKC, really impressed with Minnesota, and we'll see if they can seal the deal today. So we got to recap a little bit of what's going on. Bobby Thomas, hope you're doing well. Please go ahead.
You mentioned Michael Porter Jr. I really don't think he's getting enough credit.
He's not, dude.
Good he's been playing.
He's automatic. As a fan, I never feel like he's missing a shot. Ever. It is, and he's getting deeper and deeper. You could tell that he's in a great rhythm right now because we're stepping out right in his face. I mean, if he gets the ball in his hands for less than 1 second, it's up, it's in, it's not even hitting rim. Unbelievable.
And then you mentioned him shooting. Nuggets for the series are only shooting 27.6% from 3 with 37 makes. Michael Porter Jr. has 15 of those 3-pointers, which is insane. Last night, he played 40 minutes. In the 40 minutes he played, the Nuggets were +4. In the 8 minutes that he didn't play, they were -8. It's kind of like a mind-boggling stat when you think about it. Literally nobody is talking about how well he's been playing.
And Erik, you know why that's happening is because Anthony Davis and LeBron have equaled or even maybe outplayed Jokic and Murray. The two, if we're just combining this 2 stars versus the 2 stars, AD and Jokic, they've been even. This has been one of Anthony Davis's best series he's ever played. He has been incredible offensively, defensively, big minutes. LeBron's been really good. You can tell he's getting tired late. I find it funny when people are like, yeah, LeBron's cheating on defense late in the game. He's 40 years old. He's the oldest guy in the league. They shouldn't be putting him in positions where he has to do that. That's the unfortunate thing, right? Like you can't expect him to do that at this level anymore. But man,
that next game is going to be really interesting. You know, nothing against your Lakers. Nuggets shot awful at the rim. Joker was I think he was like 4-9 at the rim going to the half. Missed a lot of threes. So you got like the shooting variance game. Now this next game, when like no one's really due for the negative or positive shooting regression, what does the game kind of look like playing in Denver? Going to be interesting. I was on your boys. Yeah, I was on your boys' first half in game last night, so I can't complain. But there was one part of the game, I think they were up 11 when I was watching it, what my eyes were telling me was they're a team that looked down 10. You know what I mean? They weren't playing the way a team up 11 would have been playing.
I wonder, and this is like, honestly, I don't think they're coming back and winning the series or anything like that. I wonder if just one game like that with a team like that, I mean, we saw with LeBron, he was furious at some of the calls and things happening. I wonder if we're human, right? That was 11 games in a row. That was kind of like 11 different games worth of like crap happening, even when they were up. And I was sitting there watching it with my dad at the end going, oh my God. Like you said, when they were up 11 and you feel like they're down, you're like, this is not happening again, right? I wonder if there's anything to just like the mental hurdle of that, like getting the one of those over and out of the way and just seeing like, man, we can actually beat this team. They're not going to hit every single shot down the stretch. In a weird way, there's kind of no pressure on the Lakers in this next game because nobody's really expecting you to come and beat them 3 times in a row. So can you go out there tomorrow when we talk about this game and just play loose?
I mean, the one thing, like when you look at the big scheme of all the playoffs and everything, I like, this is a no shit comment. The Nuggets are the best put together team. They have guys out there with like defined roles, if you will. They know
my gosh.
what to do. Everyone else, you kind of watch them and you're like, what are you doing? Like KCP's in there. He knows what he's supposed to do. Porter knows what he's supposed to do. He's grown up a lot. So and
I will say that actually makes the Lakers, in a weird way, that makes the Lakers probably look worse in some of these games because almost every other team in the league is like the Lakers in that they're not as close to perfect. They have obvious holes and they have moments in lapses where like, oh, that was just a bad game, or oh, that was a bad quarter or a bad half. Denver doesn't really have that. They don't really have those lapses. It's Jokic, and you were talking about it with Porter. We are not appreciating Jokic as much as I think we should be because this guy just doesn't go out there and have bad games. Like he doesn't. It's like, hey, that was the Jokic game where he was just awful and they lost. Like that doesn't happen. And when your best player already puts himself at such a high level, it's obviously as a fan, I want to win. It's frustrating, but as the counter is like, I'm a basketball fan too. And you and I, we're gamblers and we play all this stuff. I'm so frustrated while also so damn impressed how well they execute repeatedly. And Malone calls the timeout. He knows when to call it. He calls it. They come back. They have an 8-0 run. It's just like clockwork. And you hit it. They've got 5 or 6 guys that just know exactly what to do, where to do it, when to do it, how to do it. And if you're not doing that, you're in some serious trouble. Erik, I got 4 plays today throughout our games. Let's jump on in and talk. I know the folks out there want to see who we are firing away at today. Game number 1, Knicks at the Sixers. Sixers are a 5.5-point favorite in this one. Over-under is 209. Erik, this is just a principal play for me. Joel Embiid scored 50 points in his last game. Joel went 19 for 21 from the free throw line, but really the key was he made 5 of 7 threes. And that just started getting him into a groove. I'm going under the Embiid, 33.5 points. That is a massive 33.5. Huge. I have no choice. Joel Embiid under 33.5 points for my first play of today. I have one more in that same game, so I might as well mention it. Donnie DiVincenzo had a really poor game shooting. But DiVincenzo, in his final 40 games of the season, so the second half of the year, a massive sample size, this dude was shooting 11.5 threes a game, Erik. Wow. I couldn't believe it. He had 16, 18, 12. Like, you look through his game logs, he was shooting 39% from three. So DiVincenzo was averaging 4.5 3-point makes a game his last 40 games of the year. That was incredible. Now, I know some of those games he was playing without Anunoby and it was a little bit different, but his first 3 games of this series, he's only shooting 5.3 attempts per game. He's still shooting fine at 37%. I think, Erik, in this game, they're going to try to get him the ball more, some more open looks. Hart's been getting more of the shots, and he's actually been shooting well, but I feel like that's going to even out a little bit. I think this is going to be more of a DiVincenzo game. I think they're going to look to get him more involved. I think he's going to shoot better. The way I played this, DiVincenzo to make 4 threes plus 195. He did this in game 2. Didn't do it in game 1 and 3, but he's already done it once in the series. He was averaging this number for 40 games of the season. I'm going DiVincenzo to make 4 threes at plus 195, Embiid under 33.5. My first 2 plays for game 1. Give us your plays.
I played the Knicks plus the 5.5 and plus the 180 on the money line. Knicks were the 17th best team defending the 3-pointer. Then when OG Anunoby came aboard, they went all the way up to the 7th best team defending the 3-pointer from when he came on to the end of the season. Sixers, when you look at their body of work for the season, shot the 10th worst percentage from 3. They're coming off a game where they shot 48%. So you have a bad shooting team shooting close to 50% against a good 3-pointer defensive team. This has shot regression written all over it. And why is that important? Is if those threes aren't falling, the Sixers are going to struggle to score. Embiid, with what's going on health-wise, he's not posting up. He's turned into a jump shooter. For the series, the 76ers are shooting 58% at the rim. They're just struggling to create enough scoring opportunities against the Knicks defense. So I think that's a big factor. Sixers allow 40% of their shots for the year from 3-point land. So with the drop coverage that they run in the pick and roll and everything like that, I think the Knicks are going to see more 3-pointers fall. They're due for some positive shooting regression. 76ers due for some negative shooting regression. And this is just a bad matchup. 76ers run that drop coverage. Brunson coming around the pick and roll is going to lead to some open looks. I think 76ers are going to struggle to score today with what they do offensively. So I played the Knicks here plus the 5.5 and plus the 180.
Erik, next game is the Clippers at the Mavs. I have no idea what to do in this game because as of right now, what are you thinking about Kawhi's availability for this game?
To me, he is so limited. It
doesn't matter.
It'd probably be better if he didn't play.
I agree with you. And I think this is a not Kawhi line, but I don't really know.
It's a non-Kawhi line.
Yeah.
So I did 3 things in this game. I figure it's a non-Leonard line, so I jumped on it. To me, this is a bet on Ty Lue. I took the Clippers here plus the 6.5 and plus the 200. Game 1, they had 28 pick and roll sets, which the Mavericks really do struggle when you look at their metrics for the season. Games 2 and 3, they only had 34 pick and roll sets combined. The pick and roll led to Mavs switching, thus more 3-pointers. They had 36 3-point attempts in game 1. Clippers stopped using that. And then you look at their 3-pointer attempts, they have gone down. They had 30 game 2, 29 game 3. So them not running this pick and roll and going with more iso ball with Leonard, Paul, Harden, etc. This has kind of let the Mavericks defense kind of stand still and let Gafford be in the paint to protect against the driving. They have to not become so stagnant and look to move a lot more. And I think that's what Lue is going to look to do, a lot more pick and roll action, leading to a lot more threes. So I'm going to take the Clippers here plus the 6.5 and plus 200. And then I also played PJ Washington over 5.5 rebounds. Look, for the series, he's second on the Mavs in potential rebounds. He's gone over every game this series, but one, and that he missed it by a half, and that's the game he got ejected. Also, I think another big adjustment we're going to see is I think we're going to see the Clippers play a little bit smaller, and thus PJ is going to be one of the bigger guys on the court for the Mavericks, so I played him over the 5.5 rebounds.
Yeah, I can't get a feel for this game. I'm not going to play anything here because I don't really know with the Kawhi situation. I I will say, Erik, if I were to build the perfect team right now, that if I were starting from scratch and I wanted a team, because you have to always try to beat the champ, right? And then we see that happen all the time. Whoever wins, and then everyone tries to build your team to beat them. If I were starting from scratch and say, okay, the Nuggets and Jokic, that's the team to beat. I'm going, I want Ty Lue as my coach. I want Anthony Davis, and I want Brook Lopez as my two bigs. I want the guy who can defend everything, and I want Lopez as the big body to throw at Jokic and then to stretch him out. I think if you had that combination of guys to start, you could do a good job of trying to, because you need a smart coach like Lou, and you're pointing out he's the type of guy in situations like this that you just sort of trust to make a counter, do something smart. I don't know if this group of Clippers guys has the dog on the court, though. And I think this has been the problem for them all along. And why, it's funny, it's like why Westbrook helps this team. Because they need that sort of like FU guy on the court. Because Kawhi is so quiet, and Paul George is that way too. And even Harden, like those guys aren't leaders that are going to yell at you. And when Westbrook's out there, at least he's that guy pushing you that way. Yeah, this is a really big game for the Clippers, though. Just a huge game for them, because this is another one of those teams. Erik, we're seeing it. Like, could you imagine a season where we could possibly have the Lakers out in the first round, the Clippers out in the first round, the Warriors out in the first round, the Suns? So all of those veteran guys and all of those teams could have some serious questions, and decisions to make. The Warriors, they were only the 10th best team this year. What do you do with that group of guys? Can you still pay that nucleus? The Suns, they went all in, and we're going to talk about them in a second. They're down 3-0. The Lakers, can you run it back? You have to make some kind of a move when that same team beats you so badly over and over. What do you do, when your teams that are a little bit older too, and like the Clippers, where do you go next with your guys? Are you going to win with a group of Harden, Kawhi, Paul George? I don't know. These 1 and 2 games can really flip the future of franchises. Erik, like what happens and how poorly it ends for some of these teams.
Yeah, and then also the TV deals coming up, and we could really be in a world where no LeBron, no Steph, no Giannis,
Durant's not much,
no Durant, no Luka, or all these like marketable guys are not out there during the clutch time. Maybe this will put more stuff on Shea and Chet and
Jokic,
and Ant. Maybe I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see how this is all going to play out.
It's a real changing of the guard. I don't think Westbrook's playing, right? Is he out from their day? Because they said there's no Westbrook prop. Is he playing?
I think it's probably because they don't know what's going on with Leonard.
Well, because I was looking for Powell props too, and I wasn't finding them. So those props are all dependent on Kawhi, right? Yeah. So they're like a lot of, you may not be able to find them all, but yeah, I wasn't sure either way. I just the other day with that incident that he had, wasn't sure what if they were going to give him any additional.
He didn't hit him in the head. That was like
no, that was just a rust thing. That was just he was just being a little like.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
Okay, Erik, let's keep rolling. We've got 2 more games to discuss. We talked a little bit about this one at the beginning, but the Pacers are a 10-point favorite against the Bucks. No Giannis, no Lillard. That is just way too much, though, for a Pacers team that's still young, that's in a situation now where they have a chance to go up 3-1. The game, what I'm going to play in this game, Erik. Oh, so I guess he's not playing. Bluffs Bets is telling us. We can check on that for sure. Erik, my play in this game, I'm going back to my Pac-12 roots. Brook Lopez. This guy used to be a legitimate back-to-the-basket scorer. He was a number 1 option. Dude, coming out of college, he was fantastic. And then he has a bunch of records for New Jersey and for Brooklyn. Brook Lopez scored averaged 20 plus points a game 4 different times in his career. Brook Lopez has scored in double digits in his last 10 straight games. Brook Lopez scored 22 points in game 2. He's a career 16 points a game guy. And now he's going to be in a situation where there's no Dame, there's no Giannis, and they need more from him. You know why Brook Lopez shoots more threes and plays really good defense right now? Because that's what he's asked to do. That's his role. Can Brook Lopez do a little bit more if he needs to? Yeah. Not every game, Erik. You don't want Brook Lopez being your number 1 or number 2 option anymore at this point of his career. But can you do it for a game or two when you need? Absolutely. I think that's got to be a big plan here for Doc. Get the big man down in the post. Feed the big man here and slow this game down a little bit. I want to see some Brook Lopez possessions. I want to see some old school Stanford Brook Lopez. Throw it down to him in the post, Erik. I went Brook Lopez to score 20 points at plus 290 for my play. I think if no matter what, win or lose, you have to be coming into this game thinking that Middleton, Lopez, those guys have to be such a bigger, and Portis, right? Those are your guys. And someone who can get others open looks. He's a good passer. And you can't really defend him. You don't have anyone on the opposite side that can defend him. He can still get his shot off repeatedly. So whether it be more down in the post or just you're running some plays for him to get some more open threes or some extra shots, I think that has to be the case for him.
Yeah. You got to get Lopez going. The two players that I'm looking at, and again, this is why I almost played the Celtics. Teams laying 10 or more points last 20 years are 55% against the spread in the playoffs. In round 1 of the series, that number ticks all the way up to 58%. But I feel this is a lot of points. I really have no idea what to do. The Pacers are so young. Do you really trust them? And then also they're a bad defensive team. The two props that I'm looking at is I was really hoping to find AJ Green or Andrew Jackson props. When defended by either of those two in game 3 were 1 of 14 and 0 of 10 when Jackson was defending. I think we're going to see those two because of what they bring defensively, and also Green can stretch it, make that 3. Those two are going to be a little bit bigger part in the rotation, obviously with no Dame and no Giannis. I would love to find a Jackson or Green scoring prop. They're not out there yet. They'll probably be closer to game time. That's kind of what I'm going to be looking at for today in this game.
Yeah, just keep in mind, folks, too, when we record, a lot of times we're early and they have not mentioned for sure on a lot of these players that could be game time decisions. So we were talking about Westbrook, we were talking about Kawhi, and some of them you will have to take a check again right before game time, follow Woj and some of these other NBA reporters. I'm watching for any Woj bombs too. Haven't seen anything as far as, for sure, yes or no on some of these key players today. I guess Mitchell Robinson is going to be out for
he's done.
The Knicks because they were going to test him. So that could hurt a lot. Just another big body to throw at Embiid and to make life a little bit more difficult for him. So just keep monitoring that before you make any of your plays, before you lock anything in. Anything else you want to mention about the Bucks tonight? You think they can sneak one back? Like what are you hearing about Giannis? Like, is he still pretty far away?
Yeah, he's far away. And plus, the last thing they want to happen is him come back and him tear his Achilles. Which
it's just you can't do that. You can't do that.
They are thinking long term. From what I was told, he wants to play, but the Bucks are giving him we got to think of the future stuff. So, which I get. I don't know. It's a tricky situation because he wants to win so bad, and if this is another early exit, is he going to say, "Hey guys, you know what? I got you one title. I kind of want out now." And then you have this whole Dame thing. Him obviously here. Now look, you put anyone in a situation where you just got divorced and you're away from your kids, you're going to naturally not be doing well. Yeah. But does he ask to be moved because he came here and now another early playoff exit? It's going to be an interesting summer in Milwaukee if this is another early exit.
Yeah, and then the counter to that would be, I mean, they're obviously not healthy, And then you kind of start wondering, like, it's weird because Giannis would never be someone that I would talk about being injury prone or anything like that. He's the opposite. But now it's like, well, this happened this year. This definitely happened last year. And probably the reason why they lost that Heat series, you and I talked about, because they waited too long with Giannis. And then a couple of years ago, even the year that the year they won, they sort of got a little lucky that Middleton, like they were able to win some of those games without him.
But that's when Middleton was like an all-star.
Unbelievable, right? He's not that way anymore. And
are gone with him. And the thing with Giannis is once his athleticism starts to decline, his playing style, he's going to have that big Westbrook
drop off because he doesn't shoot. He's not like he's not been able to add to his game quite enough. As you see, like that is what I will say has been the most impressive thing about LeBron. He was a bad shooter. He was a lot of like Giannis, right? A lot of just power going right at you, not much finesse. But he's continued to work on the shooting, work on the turnaround, work on the jumper, the mid-range, that kind of thing that we just haven't seen Giannis be able to quite do that. And I think you're right too, right? The style that Giannis plays, you're just going to get hurt a little bit more when you play so hard, when you play that physical, when you're going at it, when you're getting bumped and hit and guys stepping on you and elbowing you repeatedly. So big game today for the Bucks. Can they tie things up or will they go down 3-1? Final game of the 4-game slate tonight. T-Wolves trying to sweep the Suns. This game has flipped a little bit now. The Suns are a slight favorite in this one, trying to save their season. I will say, Eric, this is the one that did not surprise me when you and I saw this team get built last year. We never thought that the Suns team was necessarily going to be a team that was going to make a deep playoff run. They're a fun team to watch. They're just not compare them to a team like Denver, where everybody knows their roles. Everybody knows exactly what they're going to do. There are nights where you could tell, like in this series, Booker doesn't have it, right? For whatever reason. And maybe it's a mental thing that Ant's been like taking his lunch and Ant's been like up in his face. And for whatever reason, he doesn't have it. And he's not able to find other ways to contribute. You know, it's all about slotting guys in their right roles. And it just feels like these three guys don't want to always be doing some of the dirty work or some of the other things that you need players to do in order to win. Like none of these guys want to be either the KCP or the Porter Jr. or the Aaron Gordon, where they're the third or fourth guy. And maybe some nights they don't get anything offensively, but they're still incredible on the defensive end. And they're giving you that same effort. You can see it with these guys. Like, and I'm going to play Booker in this game. I'm going to play Booker to score 30. I think he's going to have one good game in the series. He's been averaging 20 points in the series. He's shooting 42% from the field and 26% from three. We've just been awful. So I think there's got to be one game, sort of like what we saw from the Lakers last night, where these guys have their pride. They try to come out with a big punch. I'm not necessarily even going to bet Phoenix, but I will give Booker the benefit of the doubt. So I played Booker to score 30 at plus 230 because, Eric, that number is actually value because of how bad he's been for 3 games. I mean, Booker averaged 27 points a game this year. If he comes in and in the first 3 games of this series, if he's just scoring at his average, well, the number that I'm going to play right here is probably plus 160 instead of plus 230. So I get a bunch of value because Booker's had a few bad games. So yeah, that's the play I'm going to go here. I've been really impressed with Minnesota, with the coaching we talked about. They were willing to make some adjustments before, instead of acting like you got punched and you were stumbling backwards, things that we would love other coaches to do. So shout out to them, but job's not finished. Still got one more to go. Still got to seal the deal right here. What are your plays in the final game?
I only got one here. I'm going back to the well. I'm taking NA Dub. Give me him again.
Yeah.
Over 14.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's gone over this all 3 games this series, averaging 21.3 points, rebound, assists per game. Also, we talked about the Wolves adjustments. The main thing that they're doing is they're playing him, McDaniel. They're playing all their athletic wing defenders more to keep the pressure on Booker, Durant, and etc. A piece needed to be made beforehand, and give Finch credit. He did it pre-flop. He made the switch. He's playing these guys more. His minutes have gone up from 22 a game. He's playing close to 30.9 minutes per game. And then you just kind of look at him. 5th on the team at potential rebounds per game, 3rd on the team in potential assists a game, 4th on the team in points a game. And this number is insanely priced at 14.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Book hasn't adjusted yet. It's minus 110 juice. So I'm going to play NA dub one more time over 14.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Gino, you're muted, my friend. I can't hear you.
We will finish up talking some parlay play props. Before we do, though, we were talking a little in our chat. And so the last thing we've seen is it looks like Sports Illustrated said Kawhi may not play today.
That's what I am seeing online.
So that's our latest update. Keep an eye on that one before you make your plays for that game. I'm going to go Embiid under the points. As I mentioned, I went DiVincenzo to make over the threes. You can also boost that up if you want. And then I went Brook Lopez over his points and Booker for. So I have all 4 of mine. Pretty simple. You can parlay them all up. Make sure you use our promo code NFL Betting Blitz. When you do that, where are you getting involved at parlay play today?
I'm just going to do mine NAW over the points, rebounds, and assists, and then do the Washington over rebounds. One more quick thing that I forgot to mention. I know a lot of people like to play first basket. I really think that another thing the Clippers are going to look to do is look to go big early, look to get Gafford in foul trouble, which
Zubac?
they did in game 1. So I'd play Zubac first basket. That would be something I'd look to play as well.
Good luck, Erik, with all of your plays today. Thanks so much, all of you, for hanging out with us. Appreciate you in the comments. Bluffs Bet, Sports Facts, Let's Make Some Money. I Hate the Lakers. Old Man complaining about Detroit sports. And Bobby Thomas, all of you, have a great Sunday. Good luck in your plays. We will be back again tomorrow, giving you some best bets for our for some of the NBA games and for our plays in the NBA. We'll see you again tomorrow on Monday, and we'll go at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time on Monday with our show. I don't think we will be live, though, so won't be able to interact with you as much, but we will have a few plays for you tomorrow presented by Parlay Play. Good luck, Erik. Have a good Sunday. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us here on Fast Break Bets.